You know that feeling, that slippery sense of now? We're diving straight into a question that Vincent Crown explores in his podcast, The Hidden Map of Time.
Oh yeah, that one. How reality is structured beyond what we see.
Exactly. And he throws down this really provocative idea. What if the present moment, as we experience it, is actually an illusion? Just, something our minds kind of conjure up.
It's fascinating, right? Because Vincent Crown, he pulls together such a vast range of ideas. He's looking at time not just through physics.
Right, like Newton, quantum stuff.
Yeah, exactly, but also philosophy, psychology, and he even touches on, spiritual perspectives.
It's a huge undertaking.
It really is a truly interdisciplinary quest to understand this fundamental thing we call time.
Absolutely, and the sheer scope of thinkers he references is incredible. It's like this meeting of ancient wisdom and really modern science. So our goal in this deep dive is basically to navigate this intellectual map that Vincent Crown has laid out. We want to kind of extract the key insights, offer you maybe a clearer path through all these different views.
Maybe spark some of those aha moments.
Hopefully. Think of it as us sharing notes from a really fascinating research project. Vincent Crown himself talks about it like that, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. He uses that analogy of shared research in academia, building on each other's work. It's a really generous way to frame it.
It definitely sets the tone. Okay, so Vincent Crown kicks things off by looking at what he calls this timeless debate.
Which is a good way to put it.
Yeah, these really fundamental disagreements about how we even understand time. It's not like there's just one definition.
Not at all. And he starts us off with, well, a cornerstone, Isaac Newton. Absolute time.
Right, so the idea is, imagine time as this perfectly steady, unchanging river, just flowing on no matter what happens.
We're like an invisible stage, yeah,
Right.
where everything plays out. That's the Newtonian picture.
And Vincent Crown points out the deeper context, too, that for Newton, this absolute time was almost like God's perception.
Emanating from God's sensorium, yeah. A way for the divine to kind of register the cosmos unfolding. It had this theological underpinning.
And Newton also made that distinction, didn't he, between this true time and what he called apparent time.
Exactly. True time is this sort of ideal, perfect flow, maybe inaccessible directly. Apparent time is how we actually measure it. Clocks, sunrises, our own feelings.
Our clocks might be a bit off.
But the true time underneath is constant and perfect. That was the belief.
Okay, that's a pretty solid fixed picture.
Yeah.
But then Leibniz comes along, and his idea is completely different, right? Relational time?
Totally different. Leibniz basically argued that time isn't a separate thing at all. It's all about the relationships between events, the order of change.
So if nothing happens.
If nothing changes, Leibniz says, then time itself just wouldn't exist. It needs events.
Vincent Crown uses Leibniz's analogies like a dance needs steps or a melody needs notes. I found that really helpful.
It's a great way to think about it.
It's like time isn't the empty space between the steps, it is the sequence of the steps. That sequence creates time.
Precisely. And that's the core disagreement with Newton, isn't it? Does time exist independently even if the universe froze? Newton says yes, Leibniz says no.
Okay, then Vincent Crown brings in Immanuel Kant and his idea of subjective time. Wow, that feels like a huge shift.
Oh, it's radical. Kant basically flips it. He says time isn't something out there that we perceive. It's a fundamental structure inside our own minds.
He called it a pure a priori intuition. Okay, let's unpack that. A priori means before experience.
Right, it's built in. And pure intuition means it's like a basic way our minds organize stuff.
So kind of saying our minds are just wired to experience things sequentially, and we call that time. It's like a default setting.
Exactly. Time becomes the framework that allows us to perceive events one after another. Vincent Crown highlights Kant's phenomena versus noumena thing, too.
Right, phenomena is what we perceive ordered by time and space.
And noumena are the things in themselves, which might be totally outside our time-based understanding. Who knows?
It's like our brain's operating system imposes time on reality. And Vincent Crown calls this Kant's Copernican revolution in philosophy.
Which it really was. Instead of our minds conforming to reality, reality as we experience it conforms to our minds, including time.
Mind-bending. Okay, and building on this idea of relationships, Vincent Crown then brings in Ernst Mach.
Yes. Mach takes the relational idea even further. He argues that space and time only exist as relationships between moving objects.
So it's not just the sequence of events, but the movement involved relative to everything else.
Exactly. For Mach, motion, time. They aren't absolute. They depend entirely on the context of the whole universe. Vincent Crown uses that great example.
Oh, the spinning thing.
Yeah. How would you know if you were spinning if there were no stars, nothing else to see? The concept of spinning itself kind of disappears without reference points.
No reference, no motion, maybe no time in that sense.
Okay.
And then, of course, the big one, Albert Einstein. Relativity.
Which just shattered Newton's universal clock idea completely.
Einstein revealed time isn't universal. It's relative. Depends on the observer's motion.
Which leads to time dilation, that crazy idea that time can actually pass differently for people moving at different speeds.
So if I zoom off in a spaceship,
Time literally passes slower for you than for me back here on Earth. It's wild. Still hard to properly wrap your head around sometimes.
so yeah, no single cosmic clock ticking the same for everyone. Your time is kind of personal, tied to how you're moving. Such a huge leap from Newton.
It really is. And you see this amazing progression, right?
Yeah.
From fixed, almost divine time to relational, then subjective, then relative.
Yeah.
It keeps getting weirder.
Okay, so we've done this sort of classical to relativity journey. Now, Vincent Crown takes us into, well, even more mind-bending territory. Quantum physics, philosophy, mystical stuff.
Yeah, this is where our everyday intuitions about time really get stretched thin. He brings up Stephen Hawking first.
Hawking and his multiple faces of time. He had that imaginary time concept, right? As a mathematical tool.
Exactly. To help understand the Big Bang without needing a single absolute starting point. Vincent Crown uses that analogy.
The Earth's surface one.
Yeah. You go north, you reach the North Pole, but there's no edge. Imaginary time lets you model the universe's origin, kind of like that, smoothly, without a sharp before.
And Hawking also talked about the arrows of time, didn't he? The different ways time seems to have a direction.
Yes, the three main ones. The thermodynamic, that's entropy, things getting more disordered.
Right.
Psychological, we remember the past, not the future. And cosmological, the universe expanding.
And the key thing is they all point the same way for us.
Which is significant, yeah. It suggests maybe there's a deep connection. Vincent Crown also mentions Hawking's point that asking what came before the Big Bang might just be meaningless.
Like asking what's north of the North Pole.
Exactly. If time began with the Big Bang, the concept of before doesn't apply in that framework.
Okay, now this is where Vincent Crown really opens the floodgates. He mentions this huge list, like 40 different thinkers.
It's incredible, isn't it? Across physics, philosophy, psychology, mysticism, it just shows how deep this rabbit hole goes.
Absolutely. And the range of views is just staggering. He gives some examples, like Julian Barber.
Oh yeah, Barber's idea is pretty radical. Basically, time is an illusion. All that exists are fixed moments, like still photos.
So reality is just a stack of snapshots, and our brain creates the movie.
Kinda, yeah. And then you've got Lee Smolin on the complete opposite end saying time is fundamentally real and evolving.
So total disagreement there.
Completely.
Yeah.
And Amit Goswami suggests time emerges from consciousness itself.
Which is another big leap.
Then, from a different angle, you have people like Jiddu Krishnamurti talking about psychological time dwelling on the past, anxiety about the future as the real illusion we need to see through.
Vincent Crown also mentions Stanislav Grof, right? Altered states and time perception.
Yeah, how experiences in, say, deep meditation or holotropic breathwork can radically shift how time feels. And Antonio Damasio connecting time perception to our emotions, our bodies.
And von Wasenhoff suggesting time as a kind of subjective, multisensory integration.
It gets really nuanced. Plus, the mystical views Meister Eckhart's Eternal Now, Augustine on time as an inner soul experience, Aurobindo's cosmic consciousness time, Nagarjuna seeing time as an empty construction.
Wow, it's a lot.
It is. But what's great is how Vincent Crown ties these abstract ideas back to things we might actually experience.
Right, like those moments when time seems to stop in an emergency, or when you're totally absorbed and hours just vanish.
Or déjà vu, or weird dreams. These different perspectives offer ways to maybe make sense of those glitches in our usual time perception. It makes you question what normal time even is.
It really does. It pushes you beyond just, looking at the clock on the wall.
And that's the core shift Vincent Crown seems to be pointing towards, isn't it? Moving from measured time, the clock time, calendar time, to felt time.
Our internal subjective sense of duration, of flow.
Exactly. And he brings up those examples of altered states, again, meditation, breath work, psychedelics, how they mess with our time sense.
And that bizarre story about Jacobo Grinberg Zilberbaum and Don Luis de Morelos, the Shepherd of Time.
Yeah, someone who apparently operated outside our normal temporal rules, These examples really push the envelope, suggesting our everyday time might be just one channel on a much bigger reality TV.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive into Vincent Crown's exploration, the big picture seems pretty clear. Time is definitely not simple. It's not this fixed, objective thing we all share equally.
Yeah. Not even close. It looks more like this incredibly complex, multifaceted thing, shaped by physics, our minds, our bodies, our cultures, maybe consciousness itself. That idea of a solid present moment starts to look really, really shaky.
Which brings us to that final thought, the one to really chew on, building on what Vincent Crown laid out. If what we call the present is actually a construct, maybe an illusion like he suggests, then how might understanding these different maps of time, Newton's river, Einstein's relativity, Kant's mind filter, Barber's frozen moments, the mystic's eternal, now how might knowing about them actually change how you experience your reality, your past, your future right now?
Which of these maps resonates? Which ones feel like they might explain some of those weird moments you've had with time?
It's an invitation, really, to keep digging into this mystery. Maybe the hidden map Vincent Crown talks about isn't just theoretical. Maybe it's something about our own perception, too.
Lots to think about there.
Definitely. Well, thanks for taking the deep dive with us into the nature of time. We'll catch you on the next one.